as a bonus.
President Thabo Mbeki refuses to go for a public AIDS test after being challenged by one of his junior ministers. A former deputy minister is sentenced to 5 years in prison for corruption. And Durban vows to step up security after the rape of a foreign official. But just how effective is their campaign? Live from Johannesburg, this is E-News Primetime. A very good evening. President Mbeki says he won't go for a public HIV/AIDS test. He's been challenged to do so by his Deputy Health Minister, Nozizwe Madlala-Rutledge. She called on him to do so as an example to all South Africans to know their status.
No serving minister in post-apartheid South Africa has yet come out stronger with allegations of bad presidential leadership than this Deputy Health Minister.
The human rights of women.
In a British newspaper, Nozizwe Madlala-Rutledge told how she'd taken herself for a public HIV/AIDS test as an example to all South Africans. She then urged Health Minister Manto Shabalala-Msimang and President Thabo Mbeki to do the same, saying, "To me, it is logical that people in the leadership see the need to do this." But Mbeki has refused. The presidency says that President Mbeki does give his full backing to the government's anti-AIDS program. Nevertheless, it says that Mbeki doesn't feel that a public HIV test by him will help get the message across that all South Africans should be tested. Madlala-Rutledge has also criticised what she called the government's mixed messages on AIDS and says its policy has been blighted by denialism at the highest levels. So are Mbeki and Madlala-Rutledge on a collision course?
If he fires her, he'll attract a lot of international criticism. If he doesn't fire her, then he'll be inviting more and more criticism from within the ANC.
And with the succession battle likely to get uglier next year, Mbeki's enemies will be smelling blood if he allows himself to be criticised so clinically by a junior cabinet minister. Ben said, E-News, Pretoria.
Well, we're joined now by ETV political analyst Justice Malala to explore Madlala-Rutledge's extraordinary call. I mean, this woman surely is going to get fired. She's either very brave or slightly crazy.
Well, if President Thabo Mbeki fires her, then he probably will have to fire his deputy, Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, because these two are at one on this issue. They have, over the past 2 months, been going around the country speaking to the likes of Zaki Ahmad of the TAC and other forces and saying the ANC-led government is changing its stance on AIDS. So she's very, very powerful in cabinet, and Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka is not her only ally in there. There's others who stand for what she stands for. So he cannot fire her. He will add to the greater problems he's got.
What does this say about Thabo Mbeki's power base? I mean, surely she wouldn't have got away with this a year ago?
She wouldn't have, but at the moment you have a president who last weekend in KwaZulu-Natal people walked out on him. This past weekend, Kosatu said his style of debate is bad for this country. He is continually being attacked from all sides, from the tripartite alliance to civil society in general. He is becoming a bit of a lame duck president, and if he does fire her, then he will face, as we saw in the clip, there will be so much opprobrium on his head that he will become even weaker.
It's extraordinary, though, what's happening between Madlala-Rutledge and her boss, the health minister, Manto Shabalala-Msimang. I mean, what's going to happen there, do you think?
Well, I think Manto Shabalala-Msimang, these are her last days as health minister. Whether she gets fired or not, she doesn't have power anymore. She will be someone who basically is a figurehead, and Madlala-Rutledge and Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka are now definitely in charge. Manto Shabalala-Msimang is a lame duck.
Very interesting one to watch. Yeah. Justice Malala, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Former Western Cape Environment MEC David Malatsi has been sentenced to 5 years in jail. Earlier this year, Malatsi was found guilty of corruption after accepting a 100,000 rand bribe to help speed up a golf estate development.
David Malatsi and his co-accused, Peter Murray, both pleaded not guilty to accepting a bribe from Count Ricardo Augusta. The money was meant to lubricate the planning approval of a proposed golf estate near Plettenberg Bay. Augusta entered into a plea bargain and paid a 1 million rand fine. Morais, who was then the Western Cape Premier, was found not guilty. Malatsi served as leader of the New National Party in Mpumalanga and led the party's contingent in the National Council of Provinces. He went on to become Deputy Minister of Social Development in the National Cabinet, but was forced to resign shortly after he was charged. Both men claim that the then New National Party leader, Martinus van Schalkwyk, knew about the donations. Shortly after being sentenced in the Belleville Regional Court, Malatsi was granted leave to appeal his conviction. His bail of 10,000 rand has been extended pending the outcome. Malatsi has described the 5-year sentence as very harsh.
Police are investigating whether they shot 2 paramedics during a gun battle in Johannesburg last Thursday. Police and emergency workers rushed to a house in Midrand where a man had shot and killed his wife. When the paramedics tried to help the dying woman, it is thought the husband started shooting at them. As they ran out of the house, 2 of the paramedics were shot in the front of the legs. Now, this suggests it was the police who opened fire on them. Forensic tests are now being done to determine exactly what happened. The gunman committed suicide at the scene. Well, now let's take a quick look at the markets. When E-News Primetime continues, KwaZulu-Natal authorities go walkabout to prove the Durban beachfront is safe. This after a visiting French official was gang raped along the city's so-called Golden Mile.